morning and welcome back to the channel and welcome to the Glorious Peak District. So we are in the Glorious Peak District. A good friend of mine, Paul Bennett, always refers to it as the Glorious Peak District. I actually live in the Glorious Peak District and it's rarely glorious. And today's no exception. Yesterday was an absolute beautiful day, but today is a little bit overcast, and it was throwing it down with rain this morning. I'm not on my own though. I'm with the one and only Pops.
Good morning everyone, hope you're all well.
And actually, we're not on our own either. So I'm going to turn the camera around and you can see in the front there, we've got Marc Humphrey, a good friend and somebody who we've been out with many times before, and his client Stefan. Who probably didn't realise I was about to put him on film. So last year I came with Marc on 2 of his workshop locations and he's very kindly invited me back again this year. So we are in the Peak District and our target species is going to be dipper. Now Marc puts in a lot, and I mean a lot, of homework in preparation for these workshops. And so he's been down and he's actually found the nesting sites of 4 different pairs of dipper. So we should have some really quality opportunities this morning to get some fantastic photographs. So if dipper is something that you're interested in, and if Marc's workshops are something you're interested in, come along for the journey and see what we see. One of the things I always makes me smile is we come to some locations, particularly in the Peak District, and my dad, Pops, swore blind he'd never been here, and we got here and he went, "Oh, we used to come here all the time. We used to come here all the time with your mum and your brother when you were little, and we used to walk along this river." I think there isn't a square inch of the Peak District we didn't cover as a young family. That was pretty much our weekends, Sundays in particular, wasn't it, Pops?
Absolutely, yeah.
Out as a family, yeah. Packed lunch, packed, yeah. Off walking in the Peak District. And so it's really nice to come to places. I'd said to Pops I was certain that we'd come here as kids when I came here last time with Marc, and Pops wasn't too convinced, but as soon as we got here, yeah, he remembers it.
Well, it's because we come from a different direction.
Right.
When we've been, it's from the other side of the river.
Yeah.
We parked up on the other side and then walked down that way.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't recognise it where the car park we came into.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walk along here, yeah, it all comes back.
And one of the things that's really quite nice about this stretch is always a chance that you might catch a glimpse of a watervole. They do have watervole on here. Marc has seen them on here. Very elusive, but there's always that chance. So we'll be keeping our eyes peeled. Oh, and the other thing, as soon as we got to the river, what did we see? A dipper flying down. I can see a dipper on the river up ahead. Yeah. Oh no, it's a mandarin duck. Yeah. Mandarin duck.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, on the left-hand side there.
So this is going to be absolutely first class. We've arrived at our first location. It's actually, we've walked past one of the nesting sites and we've come to the second one, but this one is much more accessible to get quite low to the water. Oh, and that's one of the things I would say when you're photographing dipper. What you always want to be trying to achieve is getting as low to the water as you possibly can. Now the second thing that we're going to try and achieve today, and it's certainly something that I'm going to be experimenting with, because I certainly don't have the shots that Marc's got in terms of the slow shutter speed approach to dipper photography. Marc's got some absolutely fantastic shots, So I'm going to be experimenting with that, and I'll go through settings on that in just a moment. Now, one of the things that's really kind of nice about the workshops that Marc offers is he thinks of everything. I mean, look at this. Pops is in the lap of luxury.
Absolutely.
He's got an armchair. And for all those people that think that I give him a hard time, I've let him have the armchair, and I've got the lovely little comfy pad to sit on.
Don't you believe it? You give me a hard time. It's Marc that's been very caring.
Well, he does look after the elderly.
You cheeky git.
So Marc's other client has got a chair also. So, you know, you come on these workshops, you're not roughing it in the mud at the bottom. You're actually given the opportunity to sit in the lap of luxury whilst photographing these absolutely wonderful birds. So settings wise, for the slow shutter speeds, Marc's just suggested that it was actually slower than I'd anticipated. I was thinking 200th of a second. Marc's actually suggested a 10th of a second. So I'm down to a 10th of a second. I'm shooting wide open at f4, and as always I'm using auto ISO. But what I will be doing, because of the white bib on the dipper, is I will be looking for highlight weighted metering. Now I use that a lot, and you'll know that I use that a lot, but that will meter for that white bib, which will mean I'm not going to blow out that white bib, and I don't have to worry about my exposure compensation. The other way to approach that would be to shoot in matrix metering, so you're metering for the entire scene, but actually underexposing the image ever so slightly, so you're protecting the whites and the bib of the dipper. We've got a dipper below us, we've got a dipper ahead of us, so it's just waiting now till they come into view and we get some photographs. Got our first dippers in, and what Marc's shown us is that he's found a nest site. He's positioned us in a really respectful distance from the nest, so we're not interfering in the slightest. But what he's done, and quite cleverly so, is positioned us downstream, so that even though we're not at water level, as we're shooting upriver, the river elevation means that we're almost at water level, and so with long lenses we're able to put ourselves in a position to get the shots no problem whatsoever. With the slow shutter speeds, you've got to accept that you're not going to nail every shot. So obviously as the dipper is flying upriver, obviously the Z9 is fantastic at being able to lock onto the bird, but the dippers never stop moving. They dip constantly. I think that's perhaps where the name comes from, or perhaps because they dip in the water, but they're constantly moving. And with the slow shutter speed photography, what we're aiming to try and achieve is to freeze the bird. The bird has to be critically sharp, critically in focus, but the water moving, and you've got that water, that movement in the water evident within the photograph, and that's what you're trying to achieve with the slow shutter speeds. So high burst rate, you want to be shooting at the fastest burst rate that you can achieve, so 20 frames per second on the Z9, and accept that you're probably going to lose a big wedge of those photographs to them being blurred as the dipper is moving around. It's just flying back into the nest. Oh, you dropped below. So he's coming really quite close now. He's on a rock, and you've got a little bit of a rapid that sits behind it, which is yielding some of that white water. And you can probably see from the video footage now that the amount of movement that's in that water behind the dipper, and so being able to capture that in a slow shutter should produce some really, really nice images. Now if I was shooting normally at 1,000th of a second, even wide open, I'd probably be in excess of 10,000 ISO, but being able to shoot down at a 10th of a second, even wide open, is meaning that my ISO is down in the hundreds rather than in the thousands, which really lends itself to some fantastic shots in low light. So we've got 2 grey wagtails in now as well, and they've got a nest site just a little bit down from the dipper. And it just goes to show that if you get your field craft right, we're probably about 30 metres from the nest site, and the dipper is sat just below it, happily preening on a rock. We're causing zero obstruction to them.
The wagtail's just gone into its nest.
Is it? Yeah. The second one's on the stone behind it. It's just back out. I'm relying on you for the photographs, Dad, because I'm doing the video.
Well, I've only taken 649.
Only? That's not good enough, Dad. You can do better than that. You know you can.
I know. But you're right,
There's not a lot of light, is there?
there's not a lot of light, and it's just right doing it in bursts as fast as you can, hoping that you get it where it's just still.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, got that sharp. So, Pops is already chimping on the back of his camera, checking out the images that he's got.
Only because you've asked me. You cheeky said.
Hey, if he spent as much time taking photographs as he does chimping, he'd be the photographer of the year.
You mean he would be?
Mandarin ducks. 2 mandarin ducks flying upriver saw us at the last minute and then absolutely air braked and went vertical. It was like Maverick and Goose.
That wasn't bad, Top Dad.
Right, hey, I like it. One of the things about photographing in this approach, where you're sitting in one location, is you are waiting for the birds to come in. And actually that's quite nice, because actually you're sat in one location, you've got opportunities to just have a bit of a natter, and then you usually hear a dipper before you see them, because as they're flying, they're chirping as they fly up and down the river. So we could hear it coming, and we all jump on the cameras and we're ready for the incoming dipper. Now Pops and I often, when we're photographing dipper, would be moving up and down the riverbank looking for them. And actually it's quite nice to do it this way, isn't it, Pops?
It is. It's quite a pleasant way of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. It gives you plenty of time to watch the behaviour.
It does, and I think that's the key, particularly with dippers. Dippers are notoriously repetitive in their approach, and they tend to come to the same stones. So often what you're looking for is some of the stones with the poo on them, the little bits of white poo on them, and you'll know that there'll be stones that the dipper will return to time and time again. And often when the dipper first comes in and it lands in the location, they spend quite a lot of time just looking round, surveying the area before they then start hunting, or they then start preening, or they then start bringing nesting material into the nest site. But it does give you those opportunities to just observe them. And we've got one that's perched up just beautifully at the minute, so we're watching that one at the minute. The things we do for our craft. I am literally sat in the river, but potentially at a really nice location. I'm almost at the point level with where the dippers were perched before. Just going to see how they react when they come in and see if it's a location that's worth pursuing. It's not the most comfortable, but I feel that if the dippers do come in, I stand a really good chance of getting something quite nice. That was incredible, absolutely incredible. It's back. They've both gone. They've both flown downriver now. They must have perhaps just been sat to the side of me. They've just been in front of us no more than, if I said 10 metres, I'm probably a bit exaggerating. Interacting with one another, gathering nest material, just generally being dippers, and it was absolutely first class. At one point, we had both of them side by side, and I increased my aperture to f11 to try and ensure that I was trying to get both of them in reasonable sharpness. Absolutely first class. The whole time, all the time, I've been focusing on that slow shutter speeds. I've got photographs of dippers that are sharp in my portfolio already, so today was really around really pushing that slow shutter speed approach, and I'm resisting the temptation to increase the shutter speed. Everything in me wants to increase it, particularly when the two are together. I think they might interact, maybe even mate, who knows, and I would certainly lose that on the slow shutter speed, but I'm forcing myself, I'm being disciplined, and I'm sticking to the approach that I'd planned to do for today. That was magical, absolutely magical. And you can see Marc's always on hand to give you that advice, that encouragement, suggestions. You know, it's not about Marc coming into something like this and thinking he knows best. It's just he's applying what he knows, and he's utilising that to give you the advice, to give you the best possible opportunities. But the whole time, if you don't want to do what Marc's suggesting, you can just go ahead and photograph exactly the way you want to photograph. But what Marc's doing is he's giving you those opportunities, because he's putting you in touching distance of the subject you're aiming to photograph, and he's putting you in some really nice positions. Now, there's really not a lot of light today, like ridiculously not a lot of light. So if I'd have come here today with the intention of shooting fast shutter speeds, trying to capture action shots, I'd have probably been disappointed. Not with the experience, because getting this close to dippers is first class, but I'd have just been frustrated with the fact that I was pushing my shutter speeds up and the ISO would have been climbing way above 10,000. Coming at it in a different approach with those slow shutter speeds just means I don't even have to worry about the light, and it's not often you'll hear me say that. No, I have quite a stressful job, and there is nothing more mindful than sitting on the riverside watching a pair of dippers as they build their nest. It just melts your stress away. Even if you're not a photographer, I would encourage you to get out in nature, watch wildlife, and use that just as the best medicine you could possibly have. I've got the beautiful sounds of the water, I've got the singing of the birds, I've got this intense smell of wild garlic, which is just absolutely beautiful. What a fabulous way to spend a Sunday morning. So I've swapped seats with Pops. I'm in the chair now, and Pops has got down where I was just before, next to the fallen tree. So he's now in a much lower position, and I'm much more elevated looking down. One of the things that I would say is, you know, whenever you're doing workshops or you go into a location yourselves, or the dipper's back. If you go into a location yourself, make sure you don't stay in one place. Swap and change all the time. Yeah, don't stay in one location, chop and change, because it gets you different positions. So one of the things by being where Pops was before, although I'm elevated and we often look for being at eye level with our subjects, because we're elevated and looking down, I'm capturing more of that water. And with the slow shutter speeds, that's really, really advantageous, because I can capture more movement in the water by being higher up and looking down. And that's something that I underestimated by going lower previously, just how advantageous it can be looking down on the bird. He's perched up lovely on a rock at the minute, so I'm going to crack on and get some shots of it. We're at our third location for today. So we've come back downriver, back from where we've been previously. And we're at another little nest site of the dipper. Things about this location is it's a little bit more open. So there's a little bit more light here. Not much, but a little bit. However, there doesn't appear to be as many stones for them to perch up on, because I think the rain we had last night, a lot of the stones that previously Marc has photographed them on are now underwater. What has been nice though is we've had several goosanders flying down. Now we've not got shutter speeds anywhere near fast enough to capture them in flight, but it'd be great if we caught a glimpse of one. Well, that was fantastic. Come to a new location, got ourselves in a reasonably comfortable position, some more comfortable than others.
I'm older than you.
And the dippers came in, so we've got a male and female nest building just to the left of us, and an interloper arrived. I suspect another male, and he was displaying on a rock right in front of the female, and our male did not like that one bit, did he, Pops?
Not at all, no. There was a right battle going on there, wasn't there?
Yeah, and that battle has ensued up and down the river for probably the last couple of minutes. At one point, he flew right over Pops' head and back up the river. And there were lots of aerial battles, and at times they would crash into the water, shake it off and then go at it again. And I suspect they've probably chased the interloper away now. So we'll just sit quietly and hope that they return. Well, I stayed on the floor as long as I possibly could. I got pins and needles in both my feet now.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah, that's champion, that Pops. Champion. I'm glad you're comfortable.
Yeah. I know you're glad I'm comfortable.
I am.
I appreciate you being glad that I'm comfortable.
I do love him, you know.
You think I'm labouring the point a little bit too much?
The love is just very deep. Very deep. Pops and me have just been talking about the shots that we've achieved so far. And how many did you say you'd taken, Pops?
2,800.
2,800.
Yeah. There's probably about a dozen that might be alright in all that lot. But that's what happens when you're trying to do slow shutter speed.
Of course it is, exactly. You take bursts because you hope that in that burst there is one where the bird was static, aren't you?
Because the thing with dippers is they're never static.
No.
Unless they're resting and they start preening, then you get them to be a little bit static. But
yeah, they're very active, aren't they?
Or feeding, aren't they?
That's right.
So,
Yeah, it's pretty constant. Yeah. Oh, here's Dipper's coming in. So they're just at the side of us. Now I'm purposely not turning my camera to where they are at the side of us, because I really want them in front, a little bit upstream. Song is just delightful though, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning song. I've been on the River Dove and there's been a dipper singing away and people have stopped and said, do you know what that bird is that's singing? Beautiful. Let me put it away.
Put it away, don't get it out on camera, for God's sake.
Don't make me blush.
Might take this to PG rated. So we just want to take this opportunity to remind you, wonderful, wonderful people, that we have got a tour running to Kenya in October this year. We're running it from the 28th of October through to the 4th of November. So that's 8 days in total, with captivating nature, with Dezong. It's going to be an absolutely sublime trip. Both Pops and I have been to Kenya in the past, but never together. Both have been to the Masai Mara, but never together. So this is really going to be an absolutely fantastic trip. At the time of recording of this video, we've got one place remaining, just one. So if you're sat there thinking, I'd love the chance to get out and photograph with Dan and Pops, as a number of you have asked, God knows why, but you've asked, you have got the opportunity to come along with us to Kenya to have one of the most spectacular wildlife photography experiences ever. It has got to be the premier destination in the world. The Masai Mara. Hopefully get to see the big five, you know, hopefully we'll get to see elephants, hopefully we'll get to see lions, maybe even cheetah, hyenas possibly, leopards, rhino, who knows, maybe water buffalo, all a possibility in the Mara. And that's not to mention the absolutely exquisite bird life that they've got on offer there. So if you've been thinking about spending a day with us and you want that opportunity of a laugh a moment with Pops, sign up. Captivating Nature, link will be at the bottom, it'll also be in the description. As I say, last place remaining. Miss it, miss out. We look like the Three Stooges. So we're at another nest site, and the beauty of this site is, and I'm going to turn the camera on in a moment so you can see it, you've got a view right the way up the river. Now the audio is going to be a little bit difficult because we're right next to some quite strong rapids, but because we've got a view right up the river And because it's got that little bit brighter now, we should be in a position to be able to possibly get some flight shots as they're coming up the river. The nest site is probably about, I would say probably about 30-40 metres further down on the bank. So we're well away from the nest site, but we'll see the locations that they will be going to either hunt or to bring the nesting material before hopping into the nest site. And hopefully this will yield some fantastic photographs. Incidentally, this is the location that Mark and I sat last year, and we got some lovely flight shots. So if I haven't got any today, I'm going to use the ones from last year, and I'll pop them up on the screen for you to see. When you're coming and photographing dippers, it's essential that you sing the dipper song. Dippity-doo-dah, dippity-day, my oh my, what a dipper a day. Plenty of dippers coming my way. Dippity-doo-dah, dippity-day. Mr. Dipper's on my shoulder. Dip, 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 dip. Recording before when you called me a fatty, so if you want to record it now.
Not at all. I would never call you anything like that at all.
You heard that? Fat shaming his own son. Yeah, he's the one eating food. I've only had a Rivita, a dry one at that.
He's had 2 of these. I can't finish one and he's eaten 2. I'm trying to eat mine.
So we've obviously come away from the river now, so we're at the end of the video. But what I thought we would do is just take a moment really to just chat to Mark about the workshops that he offers, the tours that he offers, and most importantly, how you can get on one of his workshops. I think they're probably all fully booked if I'm honest, but how can people get on your workshops, Mark?
If you follow my website, it's marchumphrey.com. That's M-A-R-C. Most people think it's with a K, but M-A-R-C, and then all the information's on there. If you want to find out about any future workshops that are coming up, then you can just click the link to sign up to my mailing list, and then I try and send out a monthly newsletter, and you've got information for pretty much all of my workshops on there.
And what workshops are you running this year?
This year, well, I've got dippers here for the next 10 days, then water voles, then I've got beavers and little owls in Kent in May, red grouse in August, grey seals in November, all sorts, everything and anything.
And I think it's probably really important that we just have a moment to talk about your beaver workshops, because they are something quite special, aren't they?
They are. They're probably, well, they're one of my favourite ones. So we get paddled down a stunning stretch of river in Kent. The photographer's at the front. You don't have to do any work. You just take in all the surroundings, and it's just an amazing way to go and see beavers and experience being in the water with them, basically. And you get to eye level, and yeah, it's a special experience, to be fair.
I have to say it's one of the workshops that I am insanely interested in. I mean, there's one thing going and seeing beavers in their natural habitat, but actually to be on the water in a kayak, floating down, having that opportunity to get low level, sounds just amazing.
It is great.
Absolutely amazing. So if you do want to get on one of Mark's workshops, there will have been a link while he's been talking at the bottom. I've probably done some screenshots of his website as well. Get on his website, dead important, sign up to his mailing list so you can get all the information as it comes through. You can book in early, you can make sure you're getting the dates that you want to do on his website. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you're not yet subscribed, about 40% of people who watch these videos are not subscribers to the channel. I know I say it every single time. Come on, subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing, does wonders for the channel. If you want to show that little bit of extra support, we've obviously got a Buy Me a Coffee webpage. You can see there we use it to buy coffee. So get on board buy us a coffee if you wouldn't mind spending that little bit of extra cash. So from the wonderful, the glorious Peak District that's now starting to get a little bit brighter, until next time, ta-ra!